Shannon and welcome back to my channel. If you enjoy DIYs like this and home decor, please hit that subscribe button because I bring you new videos every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with lots of new inspiration. And I don't want to talk your ear off right now because I want to get into the tutorial, but I cannot tell you how excited I am to be in my workshop again. You guys know that I love building. That's kind of where I started this channel, is doing wood projects. And we actually did a whole renovation on our basement, or in this section of our basement anyway. And I'll link that down in the description box below because I have a playlist. And then there's a tour at the end. So if you want to see all the details of my workshop, you can find that video linked down below. Now, as far as the tutorial goes, we are going to do a true trash to treasure transformation today. I found these amazing tiles at my thrift store. They are normally about $4.48, I want to say, at Home Depot. And I got a set of 4 of these for only $2, so a huge bargain. Somebody was getting rid of them. I swooped them up when I saw that bargain, and we're gonna be creating a bench with them today. I actually have some wood, some scrap wood. A friend of mine gave me the 1x12, so she was just getting rid of that. And then we're also gonna be using 2x4s that are scrap pieces from our she shed build. And if you wanna catch up on that, I'll link that down in the description box below too, because we're in the middle of creating my personal own she shed, which is another crazy thing to me. And so we've been really hot and heavy on building that, so that's a huge, huge project. So you can see why I haven't really been in the workshop a whole lot lately. And today I finally get to dive back in, grab my power tools out to create this farmhouse style bench using trash to create a treasure. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let me give you the rundown of the overall concept of this bench. Because I want these tiles to be sort of the focal point and the thing that gives this character, I still need a base for the top of my bench. So I have this 2x12 here, and I've cut it down to 3 feet or 36 inches long, and that's what will fit these tiles nicely. If you use more tiles, you can make your bench longer. And then as you can see here, we do have a border around the edges, and I have bought some trim, which we'll use a little bit later and I'll talk about then. But the basic idea is we're gonna create some legs for a base for our bench using the 2x4s. All right, so I have my legs cut here. So they're basically gonna go on the corners like this. And because I want my bench 18 inches tall and our 2x12 is 1.5 inches thick, I cut these down to 16.5 inches long. And I brought these over here because I just want to basically measure in between to find my measurement for the pieces that are gonna go in between here, and ultimately they will sit up and be our legs like this. All right, and that's all the cutting that we have to do. I'm gonna show you the cut list here. We've got 4 2x4s at 16.5 inches long. We have 4 2x4s at 8 inches long. And then we have the top of the bench, which is a 2x12 and 36 inches long. And now that it's all cut, I'm gonna take it over to my sanding table and use 80 grit sandpaper and my orbital sander to sand it all down. And I have everything sanded down now, and I'm gonna go ahead and stain it. You could build it first and then stain it, but for me it's a lot easier because then you don't have the corners where things are going to be connected to try to get down into. So I like to stain before I build, and I'm gonna be using this water-based wood stain in this ebony color. It's a new color for me, so I'm excited to see how this turns out, but it's a water-based stain instead of an oil-based stain, and water-based stain will dry in about an hour, so that's what I like about that. If you're gonna be using an oil-based stain, then you're gonna wanna let this sit at least 24 hours before you come back to build with it. And to stain, I just use some rubber gloves and a staining cloth, which you can find over by the wood stain. And I like to just rub it into the wood, and I usually just do one coat with darker colors like this. And then to let it dry, I have this drying rack here, which is for clothes, I believe. I got this from IKEA, but it works really, really well for my wood when it's drying. So there's a little tip for you. I'm gonna go ahead and get to work. All right, and now we're gonna work on the top trim pieces. I brought this and set it up so you could see what I was talking about. I purchased these little thin strips of wood from Home Depot. This is poplar, and it's a 1/4 inch thick, which is the same width as our tiles. When we lay it up next to the tiles, it'll make a nice flush surface. I didn't want this like big step over there, so we're basically just gonna make this top flat. And this is 2.5 inches wide by 3 foot long. So I've had Brian rip these down for me. I'm not quite ready for being let alone with the table saw yet. I still need to learn all about that. So I've just been watching him, but basically those are ripped down to an 1.5 inches wide. So 2 of those. And then this piece here, I'm going to cut down for the end pieces. So these I'm gonna leave 2.5 inches thick, and I'm just gonna cut those down to size so they'll fit in the end slots there. And I'm also going to sand and stain those in the ebony wood stain. Alright, so I've let this sit for about an hour, and it's time to put all of this together. And I know this is going to sound a little bit overkill, but we have this. We've been building the she sheds. We have this framing nailer, and we've been using it to make the walls and the studs and everything, which has been going through our 2x4s. So I'm going to use this. You could, if you don't have a framing nailer, of course, you could use a Craig jig and pocket holes. You could use a hammer and nails. So use what you have on hand, what is easy for you or what is attainable for you. And if you've got something like this that is gonna make your project go faster, I say I'm all for saving time. So that's why I'm gonna go with the framing nailer for this. This guy is from Harbor Freight. It was really inexpensive, and it has gone through building our entire workshop down here. So it built this wall, and it's built the entire she shed. So it is a beast, and highly recommend that. I want to say it was maybe $100, $120 the most, so a really good bargain for something like this. And then for the trim that's going to go around the tile, I have this smaller little guy. This is a brad nailer, and I'm going to use 1 1/4 inch brad nails for this. But I'm going to build the bench first, and then we'll finish up the trim and the tile after that. All right, so here's a look at one of the legs, And this is the reason why you might want to do pocket holes, because if you use a nailer like this, you're going to have these nails showing on the sides. But I'm just going to use some black paint or Sharpie and cover those up so you really won't see them. And I should mention too that this is definitely not a beginner kind of thing. If you want to start small, start with a smaller brad nailer. Those don't have a lot of super duper power in them. These guys definitely do. They kick pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the other side and start putting the feet onto the top of the bench. All right, so here is the basic design of the bench, and now we're gonna work on the top. I'm going to use some liquid nails to adhere the tiles down to the center, and then I'm gonna use my brad nailer to nail down the trim that we cut around the edge of those tiles. And here's a look at the completed bench. It is just so beautiful. I love that the tiles really give it that extra bit of elegance. I have it displayed on our front porch for now, and it really was inexpensive. I did have to buy a few supplies, but it was still under $15, and I'll be able to use the wood stain over and over again. So it was a very small investment to turn things that otherwise would have been discarded into a beautiful new piece of furniture. I hope that this tutorial inspired you. Make sure to take a second and give it a thumbs up for me. And let me know down in the comments below, where would you display a bench like this in your home? Outside, inside, in a garden? I think it would be so pretty. I would love to know. Please take a second to hit that subscribe button so you can join me every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new DIYs and tutorials. And there's more great tutorials on my channel too that I hope you'll check out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.